Hi, I'm Hannah Artill. I'm a graduating senior at Florida State University, and I had the privilege of advancing through the sales program at Florida State. I'm now the coach of the spring FSU sales team, and I'm excited to share with you what it takes to win a sales role play competition. I am part of the team that won the university championship at ICSC this past fall, and I'm hoping that you too will gain some real-world, valuable sales knowledge through this process of learning how to win a sales role play competition. Sales role play competitions are imitations of real selling, and as such, have many components that have parallels to real-world sales, but also have some components that are applicable mostly in just the game-like environment. First, let's talk about the real-world components of a competition. It starts with product knowledge. Here's the process we use to build product knowledge for a competition. First, you would gather information about the product. Once you have a good grasp on what your product is or service is that you're selling, you want to understand the features and specifically the benefits of the product, because you want to convey to the buyer relevant benefits that you or your product can provide rather than just showing the features of the product. Then, using marketing literature, independent product reviews, white papers, PowerPoint, video presentations, and demo of the product's capabilities if possible, you want to use all those things not only to gain more knowledge for yourself, but to be able to use as sources or visual aids as proof in your role play. In the FSU sales program, we are tested on all of this before participating in any role play competition. From this research and the materials that you collect, you want to make a list of features in the business issues those features solve. Then you want to understand the benefits derived from solving those business issues and have a plan of how you're going to demonstrate or show proof that the product does solve that business issue. Proof can be shown in a number of different ways, some of which I just mentioned. You can also use testimonials from past customers, visual aids that build credibility or show statistics, and then obviously you want to demo the product if you can. Next, we plan what are the potential buyer objections that we could face. So we want to be able to clarify each, respond to each, and then prove that your response is correct, which this process is called Clarify, Respond, Confirm, or CRC. This process is vital to handling objections, not only because we are scored on all three of these steps in a role play competition, but because missing one of these parts leads to misinterpretation and confusion. The first step, clarifying, is meant to help you fully understand the exact question or concern of the buyer from the buyer. By asking a follow-up question, we gain more clarity and can then provide the best answer. So then you want to respond to their concern. The best way to do this is to include some type of proof device, maybe a visual testimonial letter, maybe a feature of the product, whatever is appropriate at that time. Lastly, you want to be sure that you fully answer their question and can move on with the meeting. A simple question like, did that answer your question, or do you feel comfortable moving forward, are perfect for this step. I provided a simple example about pizza. If someone were to ask me, why do I eat so much pizza? I would say, why does this concern you? That would be my clarify. It's very broad. And then respond saying, I eat so much pizza to, I support a local business and because pizza makes me happy, right? Then you want to confirm to this question, make sure that you completely address the objection and they're good with your answer by saying something like, does this answer your question? There are several lists available online of general objections. Of course, you always want to plan for the pricing objection and the competitive product objection. Our philosophy with the pricing objection is if it's asked before you've established the needs of the buyer, you want to defer your answer until you understand that the product even has value to your prospect and what the specific pricing configuration will be for their specific need. Responding to the competitive product objection requires studying the competition, obviously, and then you want to make sure you have some sort of maybe third-party evaluation showing your product is superior to the competition. An objection for competitive product would sound something like, how is your product better than the competitors? And it's such a great way, such a great opportunity for you to show some visual proof of your product's value and gain some really great credibility with that, with your buyer. The remaining planning depends on what we know about the prospect we are about to meet. In a competition role play, you are usually provided with lots of useful information about the prospect and typically a scenario. You want to dissect your scenario. A lot of things that are easy to miss in a quick read become vital in your competition, so know every word. In real life selling and in competitions, when you have real companies, using the company website and library corporate databases, all that information can be really, really useful. Also, looking at LinkedIn accounts, Facebook profiles would also provide really great insight on your prospect. So now that we have gained some product knowledge, prepared for objections, and the prospect at hand, our next step in the planning process is to develop a set of questions to uncover how we can provide the prospect value by solving a business issue. The question process we use is called SPIN. There is a book that you can get. It's called the SPIN Field Workbook. It's available on Amazon for $15 or something. Really, really good workbook to help you understand this process. The first step to the SPIN process is asking situation questions. Something like, what is your current situation? Describe to me your current situation, or tell me about the project that you're working on. The next step to this process is asking what their challenges are. So this is called the problem questions. That's when you ask, how often does this happen? What are some disadvantages of doing things the way that you're doing them now? And then the next, probably the most important of these questions, is implication questions. These are used to build pain, and they help the buyer uncover to themselves and to you exactly how bad their situation is. So you'd ask something like, how much is this costing you? Or how much time are you spending on this a week? It's good to try to get some numbers here when building pain, like how much money is being spent or how much time is lost, so that you can use those numbers later on in your role play. Then finally, once you've gone down the path of building pain, you want the prospect to explain to you what would happen if they didn't have these challenges. So you'd ask something like, if you could save all that money that you're spending on XYZ, how would that benefit your company? Or what else could you be doing with your time if you didn't have to spend X amount of hours a week on that challenge? So all those things are going to show them what could happen if your solution does indeed solve their problem. Here I have some links that I hope you can click on. And there's just a video here that shows exactly how to come up with some SPIN questions, and then another video of things you should definitely not ever ask in a role play. One of them being, how are you? Don't ever walk into the room and say, hey, how are you? Won't work in your favor. Lastly, you as a salesperson have objectives that you want to accomplish in this meeting, and you need to recognize those ahead of time. Can you get this person to buy from you in this meeting, or is this maybe not the decision maker? By filling out a meeting plan, you can articulate these things. In this plan, you also want to break down the business issues that you think that there could be, some features and benefits that relate to those. The difference between good salespeople and great salespeople are ones that can do this ahead of time and be able to understand the benefits that relate to all the business issues. So anybody can list off all that's fabulous about their product, but a great salesperson uses SPIN to find out what the issue the client is facing and then tell them the feature and the benefit that applies. For example, if you were selling water, the feature is that water hydrates you, but the benefit is weight loss, it boosts health, it regulates body temperature, among a number of other things. A meeting plan allows you to write down exactly what you're going to say depending on what the buyer throws at you and what their specific need is and the benefit that applies. Now, armed with your product knowledge of the prospect, the company, and a set of SPIN questions, you are ready to execute. Execution of a sales meeting, both in real-world situations and in role plays, follow the same exact sequence of steps. We call this the roadmap to a successful sales call. The roadmap takes you on a journey from walking in the door to obtaining a commitment. It's also the rubric for your sales role play competition, so you live or die by this. The roadmap was developed over many years of research looking at both successful and unsuccessful outcomes of meetings. The steps in the roadmap are independent of the type of meeting, but how you execute these steps and which ones you spend the most time completing does depend on the nature of the meeting. So for example, in a first meeting, you would typically spend more time understanding the prospect's needs and less time showing a solution. Whereas in a second or third meeting, you would spend less time uncovering needs and going over already uncovered needs and more time on presenting the solution. So now we're going to go ahead and go through a role play together.